morning, everybody. How are you guys doing today? How are you? How are you? How are you? All right, so welcome to this year's Akada Children's Book Festival. And my name is Damilola Agboola, and I've been asked to speak to you, beautiful, beautiful people, about the topic, books that speak, creating a best-selling audiobook. So I have a background in the dubbing and localization industry as a dubbing actor, sound engineer, and so I've been able to use that experience to create audiobooks for a number of clients. So today we're going to be exploring the ingredients that is going to be necessary to create a best-selling audiobook. Yeah, so before we start, does anybody know what an audiobook is? Okay, what's your name? Divine. Yeah? Exactly, in simple terms. So in simple terms, an audiobook is essentially a narrated version of print books. An audiobook is a narrated version of print books. And so audiobooks have been around since the 1970s when they were using cassette tapes and gramophones, but it was a lackluster investment for publishers, and it wasn't until the advent of the internet in the mid-1990s that the audiobook industry started to make some waves. And today, audiobooks in this fast-paced world, it offers us a way to, explore literature on the go. So you can listen to audiobooks as you are driving to work. If you are going to school, you can listen to audiobooks as you are doing your chores or doing exercises. And the fantastic thing about audiobooks is that it also offers inclusivity and accessibility. So what that means is that it opens up a world of literature for visually impaired people. What does that mean? It means that somebody who may not be able to read can actually listen to an audiobook, and then they can listen to stories, and that makes audiobooks reach a wider audience. And so today's audiobook industry is a $3 billion industry, so it makes sense for any author to start to, sort of create an audiobook. But before we create an audiobook, audiobooks have an advantage. They have advantages as an author. Some of the advantages that does for you is that it sort of opens up a new audience for you, and then audiobooks also, they open up a new sales channel for you. You get to earn more revenue when you create your audiobooks. Another advantage of creating audiobooks is that it never goes out of stock. Books go out of stock. When you print your books, you sell them off, they go out of stock. But because of the digital nature of audiobooks, they never go out of stock. And then you can just, at one click, sell it, at one click, distribute it. So that's it. And one of the advantages is that it helps to deepen the emotional connection with your reader. So if, as children, you like being read to, right? You like people to read stories to you, and that's what audiobooks does for you. You get read a story, and so it helps you to, helps you to imagine the story in real time through voice and tone and expression. So we are going to be exploring the ingredients of creating a best-selling audiobook. And in creating that, in exploring those things, we are going to go to the first thing, which is choosing the right book. When you want to create an audiobook, you have to choose the right book. And that is a very pivotal decision, in creating an audiobook, the choosing of the right book. And before you choose the right book, there are some factors that you need to consider. The first factor is your target audience. Who is your target audience? In this case, our target audience are children. So as an author wants to create an audiobook, you have to make sure that the interests and preferences of children aligns with the book that you want to adapt into an audiobook, right? So the next thing is that you want to also check the genre and style. So some audiobook genres, like mysteries and thrillers, they lend themselves more to the audiobook format because of their suspenseful nature and their gripping nature, as compared to, maybe a technical manual or a very visual cookbook, that's not going to translate as smoothly for audiobook format. So you have to also check the genre and style before you choose your book. And then you also have to check the narrative complexity. What that means is that some books have very gripping storylines with so many characters, and so you have to also check that before you choose your book. And then another thing is the market demand. So you want to create your audiobook, right? So you have to check, you have to do your research. Is there a market for the genre that I want to go into? You have to do your research, and that's very important when you want to create an audiobook. And the last point we're going to check is the licensing and rights. So before you get your audiobook, you have to get the necessary permissions to create the audiobook. And that means that and as an author, you have 5 rights that you have to check before you create your audiobook. And those 5 rights are the book rights, the performance rights, the sound recording rights, the music rights, and the book cover rights. So under the book rights, right, there are 5 exclusive rights that come with the book rights, and that is the right to reproduce, the right to distribute, the right to display, the right to prepare derivative works. So in your rights to prepare derivative works, you have things like dramatizations, abridgments, translations. You have translations, and then you have derivative works. So what you need to do, your audiobooks fall under the derivative works rights. And so the question you need to ask is this: do I control my derivative works? Do I control my derivative works rights? And if you're a self-published author, well, there's a very high chance that you are still controlling those rights, and you can quickly create your audiobook. So, but if you are a traditionally published author, you need to ask them, do I control the rights? Do I control the rights of my book so that I can create my audiobook? So you need to be able to control all of those rights. So after doing that, after going through all of these factors, then you can quickly go about creating your audiobook by choosing the right book. So after you've chosen your book, the next thing is preparation and scripting the audiobook. So what does that mean? Has any of you listened to audiobooks before? Anybody? You've listened to audiobooks. Which audiobook do you listen to? Yeah. You are listening to audiobooks. All right. Clap for yourself. Right. So when you want to create an audiobook, right, you have to do the scripting of the audiobook, which means that the script acts as a roadmap for the narrator who is going to narrate the audiobook. So you want to involve cues such as narration direction. You know, when somebody is trying to narrate the audiobook, the narrator is in the studio. There has to be an artistic director that's telling, okay, do it like this, do it like this. You know, say if the character is say Ali who goes to school and Ali is in the market, you say Ali is in the market. So there has to be a very youthful voice. In case of children, for instance, there has to be a youthful voice that is doing that for the audiobooks. And so you also have to maintain consistency, right? When you're trying to narrate an audiobook, the producer, the narrator, and the artistic director, they're going to work together to make sure that the audiobook is consistent so that it doesn't sound very bad from beginning to end. You have to make sure that that is taken care of. And then after you finish recording the audiobook, you have to do a revision. What does that mean? It means that as the narrator has finished narrating the audiobook, and then you have to call him and say, okay, this part was not very well read. This part was a very wicked stepmother kind of character. So he has to take that again. I'm going to catch you. You understand? So the narrator has to do that all over again. So you do the revisions. And then after the preparation and the scripting, we go to the next point, which is the narration and voice talent. How many of you want to narrate audiobooks when you grow up or anytime? Anybody? You want to narrate? So if you want to narrate an audiobook, what you have to become is a voice actor or a narrator. Somebody who can read books, somebody who can, capture the audiences with their voice. Anybody wants to do that? Anybody? You want to do that? That's nice. So you have to there's a selection process for, getting a narrator to narrate your audiobook, a book that's adapted into the audiobook. So you have to work with, the producer has to work with maybe narrative agencies or voiceover agencies to choose the best narrator who is going to narrate the book. And of course, you also have to match the voice of the narrator to the book. So if it's a children's book, you want to get a narrator who has a very youthful voice and a very warm voice that can appeal to children, as opposed to somebody who has a very deep voice, that's going to maybe be better suited for a non-fiction work. So you have to also get a narrator whose voice matches the book that you are trying to create into an audiobook. And then you also have to access the narrator skills. The skills of the narrator are very important. There are some narrators who are at the very top most of their career. They have the ability to, engage the audience. Like when you are listening to them, they bring you into the story so much that you enjoy the story so much. You enjoy it very well and you don't want it to stop. So you have to check the narrator skills too. And then you also have to have the direction and feedback. Now, although there's an artistic director that is there that's telling the narrator, this is how you must say it. No, you say it like this. You also have to give the narrator or the voice artist the ability to interpret the project the way that they want to interpret it, because that is their work and it's a creative work, and you have to give them the chance to, narrate it in their own way. And so that's with narration and voice talent. So we go to the next point, which is the production and sound quality. So does anybody know how an audiobook is created? It's created in the studio, in the voice studio, a sound studio. Has anybody been to a sound studio? You've been to a sound studio? Which one? FM radio, exactly. That's part of where you can create an audiobook. So, and then in creating an audiobook, there's the sound quality. The sound quality has to be very, very, very good, because if you don't give a good sound quality, you cannot put the audiobook on the distribution platform. So it's very important that you get good sound quality. And so the first thing you have to do is to invest in good equipment. Does anybody know what equipment you need to record an audiobook? Anybody? A laptop, yes. Anybody else? Yeah? Headphones, you? Speakers, you? iPad. Yes, you can also use an iPad, but that's not going to work so much. But who else? No, phone, no. If you want to get a good quality audiobook, you should not use your phone. You? Microphone. Yes, microphone. You? Camera. Not so much, but yes, it can also work if you want everybody to see what you are doing while you are in the studio. So you have to record it. You have to invest in very good quality equipment like microphones, headsets, audio interfaces at the least. If you don't have the money to go to a very professional studios are very expensive, right? So you can do it at home on a budget. So you can get your microphone, you can get your audio interface, you can put a rug on the floor so that there's no echo in the place. You can do it near your closet where there are many clothes. You can also put maybe a soundproof curtain where it sort of blocks out all the noise, and then you also consider the time of recording. Maybe you want to record at night when everybody's sleeping, so that there's no background noise in the recording. So that's for recording equipment, soundproofing, and then we go to the editing and post-production. So this is where most of the work is going to be done. So you've recorded your audiobook, the narrator recorded it, you've done the revision, the narrator has gone back into the studio to adjust some things, like the character voices, like the tone and the spacing. So now you are doing the editing and post-production. What that means is that this way you are going to remove the computer clicks, the breath sounds that are unnatural, the background noise that gets into the audiobook recording, and this is where you also check the spacing of the audiobook so that it sounds natural when you are listening to it, right? So after that, then you do the mastering. So the mastering is the final part of the audiobook production. So the mastering is where the audio is processed to make sure that it sounds very professional, so that it sounds very professional and consistent from the beginning till the end, right? And so after you've done the mastering, that's all for the production of the audiobook. But when you have finished producing your audiobook, it doesn't stop there. Yes, it's a major milestone. You've been able to get it out there from the narrator down to the post-production and mastering. And that's very fine. But we have to go now to the last point, which is distribution and marketing. Now you want to make sure that your audiobook gets to the right audience. For you guys, your audience is children. So you've created a children's audiobook. You want it to get to other children across the world. What are you going to do? You're going to do a distribution and marketing. So the first thing is to consider distribution platforms. Does anybody know a distribution platform? Nope. Has anybody heard of Amazon? Has anybody heard of Audible? Has anybody heard of Spotify? Those are distribution platforms, right? So that's where you want to get your audiobook onto. You want to get your audiobook onto those platforms so that you can get to other children who are going to listen to your audiobook. And so when you get there, when you put it on those platforms, then you also price it accordingly. You give a competitive price in that range. You don't want to make it too high, and you don't want to make it too low, right? So you want to price it very well so that people can afford to buy your audiobooks. And after that, you also have to market it. There are a lot of marketing strategies. You can use your social media. Everybody knows social media, right? Which social media platform do you know? You. Instagram. You. TikTok. You. Facebook. Yeah. Snapchat. Yeah. Who else? Yeah. WhatsApp. Yes. You can also promote your YouTube. Yes. Twitter. Yes. Google. Yes. So you can promote your audiobook on all of these channels. You're an author. You already have your background, your audience before. So now you've produced your audiobook. So you want to tell them, you guys, I've produced my audiobook. You can listen to it here. Then you put the links for them so that they can go and visit your audiobook. You'll have them leave a review for your audiobook. You have them, you have them review your audiobook so that because when you have good reviews, it gives your audiobook more visibility, and then more people are going to listen to it, right? And it's going to become a bestseller as it goes on. And then the last thing you want to do is to monitor sales and analytics. So you have to be checking, are people buying my audiobooks? Yes, they are buying it. Where are they buying it from? How many people are buying it? How many people have downloaded it? So when you check all of those things, all those statistics, then you collect those information, that data, and then use it to make informed decisions in your continuous marketing strategy, So that's it for producing your audiobook. And when you go through all of these steps, you're going to make sure that you get yourself a best-selling audiobook. So that's it for me. I hope you've enjoyed the session. So we are going to be going to questions. Can you read that? Remember that marketing is an ongoing effort. Building awareness and gaining momentum for your audiobook may take time, but by strategically distributing your audiobooks and employing effective marketing tactics, you can increase its chances of becoming a best-selling audiobook. So yeah. So does anybody have any question for me? What's your question? Well, there are some apps that you can use to create books, but it may not sound very professional. So it's always advised that you should go to a professional studio or use professional equipment so that you can get the best out of your recording. Because you remember that you want to put it on the platform, and the platform have their strict technical requirements. If you don't meet those technical requirements, you want to put your audiobook on Spotify, but they have given you a list of technical requirements. That means the audio must not have any background noise. It must be between 60 dB and 30 dB, all of those technical requirements. And if you use an app or if you use a phone, that's not going to make you pass those requirements. So it is advised that you use a very standard studio to make your audiobooks. That answer your question? Okay, you. No. Well, of course, okay, because the audiobooks are narration of printed books, so you are basically, narrating a book that has already been written. But there are some people who just do their audiobooks like that. But at the same time, you have to write it down. Write something down in a book, and then before you create an audiobook. Does that answer your question? Anybody else? Yeah.
You have to be an adult to write a
Do I have to be?
An adult.
To have an audiobook? No, you don't have to be an adult to record. Yes, children can record audiobooks. There are audiobooks for children, and there are audiobooks recorded by children. So that's one thing you can do. You can tell your mommy, "Mommy, I want to do an audiobook." So you tell your mommy, I want to write my own book, then I'll create the audiobook for my book, right? So, yes, what's your question? Yeah. Before they what? Yeah, before you listen to audiobooks, sometimes you have to buy it. Most times you have to buy it. So it usually comes in different ways. Some authors maybe give their books for free, but you can also there are some libraries that they do it for free. Some audio libraries, you go to, maybe your school has your audio library, and then you tell the people, I want to listen to this audiobook, and so they give it to you for free. But most times it's always paid. Understand? Anybody else ask any questions? Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay.
How long is an average audiobook for children?
Okay, for children, because children's books are usually not very long, right? So it's usually maybe 20 to 30,000 words or less. So an audiobook will probably be around 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours in that, so that it doesn't take away their concentration. So because they are children, so it usually goes 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours for children's books. But for normal books, they usually go as long as 8 hours, 10 hours, and more, right? Okay.
Do you need a special publisher or just publish your book yourself?
Well, if you're a self-published author, it makes it easier for you to create your audiobook, right? But if you're a traditionally published author, audio rights are a very hot commodity, so they want to keep those rights for themselves. So you may have to read your contract again, ask them, if your book is not slated for audiobook production by the publisher, you can ask them to give you back those rights so that you can go about, creating your own audiobook, right? Anybody else has a question? Anybody else? Okay, I have a question for you. I have questions for you. When are you going to listen to your first audiobook? You? What's your name? What?
Hello,
Hello, Guinea. When are you going to listen to your first audiobook?
An hour after you have made it.
After you have made it, right? Okay. That's a good answer. You, after you've made lots of, exactly. Okay. You, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. When it comes out, that's when you're going to listen. All right, that's very nice. Okay, you. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great. That's great. That's great. That's great. So you guys clap for yourselves. Clap for yourselves. Clap for yourselves. So what I want you guys to do is this. Tell your mommy and your daddy, Daddy, I want to write my book and I want to create an audiobook for it. Tell your mommy, tell them at home, I want to write my book and I want to create my audiobook for it. And they're going to help you to do it. Tell them that Uncle Dami said so. So they're going to do it for you, right? Right. So there's no more questions. No more questions. No more questions. No more questions.
Damilola Agboola has a background and extensive experience in the dubbing and localization industry as a translator, dubbing voice actor, dubbing coordinator, and sound engineer. Having featured in over 2,000 dubbed movies and 5 series as a voice actor, and having produced a considerable number of high-profile BBC documentaries and dubbing projects featured on platforms such as Netflix and YouTube, he brings a wealth of experience in helping African authors tell their compelling stories through the creation of audiobooks.